I just decided I needed to just work as hard as I could to make it happen. And it just goes to show if you have the passion, you can make it happen. It may not be instant, but people that have the drive find a way. I'm not saying I'm hugely successful. I'm just on the brink of doing really well, but I can't believe how freeing it is.
That was Erren Hart, and this is episode number 174 of the Chopped Podcast. Hey everyone, I'm Marley of the blog Namely Marley. I am your host, and this is the Chopped Podcast. You know, this is the podcast designed for people just like you, bloggers who love food. Thanks for joining me today. You know, spring is in the air here, and I don't know. I mean, it's really just a few degrees warmer than it has been, but we've had a rough winter. So I don't know. I feel like this just slight increase in the temperature has given me a spring in my step, and I'm really excited about things to come. And I hope you feel the same way too, because, you know, feeling inspired overall, in addition to being inspired about your business and ready to charge up that mountain and do the hard work, I think it just has a powerful impact. You know, that mindset, we've heard people talk about this before, that mindset has a big impact on the work that you're doing. So it can make a huge difference. Before we get started, I want to share with you the review of the week. This one is from Beef, who says, "Love the topic and great questions. Thanks, MM. I am so glad you love it. And you know what else? I love sharing it with you." You want to know how I imagine this podcast? I like to think of it as coffee shop talk for food bloggers. I should have named the podcast that, Food Bloggers in Coffee Shops Talking Chop. But I don't know. It doesn't really roll off the tongue very well. So I think I'll just stick with chopped. But I love the idea of when I'm talking with people, just imagining that we're at a coffee shop and we're just chatting away about food blogging. And I think we learn a lot that way. I think when, you know, you just kind of relaxed and you're just enjoying a conversation, I think that's when you can learn from each other, and then you all get to listen in and enjoy and learn as well. So thanks, If you'd like to be a featured listener in a future episode, just leave a review of the Chop Podcast on iTunes. Your encouragement means so much. So on to today's topic. Today I'm talking with Erren Hart of the site Erren's Kitchen. Erren and I just hit it off. She's got a great sense of humor, and we both share equal passion for food blogging and figuring out how to be successful at it. So we had a really good conversation. I really loved it. Erren has done an amazing job growing her platform on Pinterest. You'll just be so surprised to hear of the great results she's had there. And now she's working hard on getting the same amazing results on organic reach as well. It's an inspiring conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I think you will too. So let's get straight to it. Here's today's featured discussion with Erren Hart. Hey everyone, I'm happy to have Erren Hart. She's of the site Erren's Kitchen, and she's on the show today. Hey Erren, welcome to the Chop Podcast.
Hi, Marley. I'm really happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you on the show. I'm really looking forward to our discussion today. As I mentioned to you before, I really like to imagine like we're sitting at a coffee shop, having a cup of coffee, or in my case, it would be tea because that's what I like. And we would be just having this really passionate, fun chat about food blogging.
Okay.
Does that feel good to you?
Like I said, this is something you don't get to do, and talk to other bloggers and just have like a real conversation about what it's like to do what we do. So I'm looking forward
and I guess
to
you
it.
have it really bad since you're not even here. Where are you located at?
I'm in England.
In England. Oh,
Yes.
I'm sure there are other food bloggers in England.
Well,
Have you thought about reaching out to them?
I honestly, you know, from the start, because I'm a mom, I never really had the opportunity to reach out to other bloggers. It's always been very isolating for me. I haven't had a chance to really go on many of the food blogging groups. I did in the beginning, but I found that I just didn't have the time to dedicate to it. So I don't have too many blogger relations. So
I totally get that, because when my daughter was little, it was like there was nothing else I would rather do than to be with her.
Yeah. I mean, your time is so precious when they're small, especially. And he was 5 when I started. So,
yeah.
So I don't have a lot of like blogger friends. There's, you know, I have one, Cheryl, from 40 Aprons. She was on your show a couple of weeks ago, and we talk all the time. And she's like a great cheerleader, and she's wonderful. But she's really the only one that I talk to. So,
well, There you go. I mean, I think even just that one relationship, I think can make a big difference. And I think, you know, listening to a podcast like this where, we're having these conversations with other food bloggers, it's almost like you're there. So if you can think about it this way, you and I are going to have this conversation and all these people are going to be listening in and they're going to feel like you're your friend too.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk a little bit about why it is that you started your blog. So can you describe what it was? What made you decide to start Karen's Kitchen?
Okay. Well, the site I started because I was a mom and my son was small and not going to school. Well, no, he did. He just started school full time actually, and they start quite young here. So he was 4 when I started looking into doing it, and when he started school full time when he was 4 years old. So I started looking into it, and much like many bloggers, I'm sure it started with Food Blogger Pro, and I don't even know what made me do it. I think it was a combination of Pinch of Yum and Cooking Classy and those food blogs that are just generic blogs that I just loved their stuff. And I loved the photography. And that's 2 passions I've always had is food and photography. So it was a really great fit. And it was something I could do from home. And I also have an illness that doesn't allow me to work a full-time job that, you can go to the office. I'd skip too much time. And so I needed to do something for myself. And that's what started it. It was just, I wanted to have something of my own that I was passionate about, and photography and food are those 2 things. And it just connected.
I love that story so much because I mean, okay, this is just me and my biases, but I kind of feel like, um, I don't know, women have not always had the permission, I think, to do something of their own and to have that passion to create their own things. And I just think it's cool that we live at a time where women can rock it and do their thing.
Yeah, it's really, and I don't even think I appreciated it that much until things started taking off. That
Yeah.
what a labor of love it really is for all of
Yeah.
us.
I had a foreign exchange student stay with me. She was from Thailand, and this was just a few years ago. So was 16 then. So that's pretty modern age. It's probably a millennial aged young person right now. And I asked her what her goal was for her life, and she told me that she wanted to marry a photographer or marry a pilot or something like that. And I said, "How about you do that?" It was just I
Yeah.
could tell it was like mind blowing for her. But she actually even said that in her country that it was people didn't want to have daughters, and she was so surprised to be in the United States where people love and celebrate having daughters. So it's kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing, isn't it?
It is. I felt like I had I felt helped like I can't even talk. I exposed her to something, a new kind of social norm or paradigm. It was kind of cool.
Did it change her life, or she just went back to the
I think
norm?
so. Yeah, she actually went to Japan and went to college there, and we don't stay in touch as much as I'd like, but it's kind of the time differences are hard,
Yeah,
and
I
but
can
yeah, she
relate.
seems like she's doing really well. So
That's amazing.
I
It really
know.
is.
It is. So you had this passion for food and photography, and that's kind of, you saw these when you say generic, when you're talking about sites like Pinching of Yum, I think you're talking about the fact that they didn't have some specific diet that they were
No,
focusing
there was
on.
like
It's just
no niche. They just
yes.
loved food. They just seemed to like
Yes.
food. And now that they talk about that, I was like, oh, I never really thought that I had to have like something specific that I was blogging about. I just loved food. And
Yeah.
so it's been kind of tough because I don't have a specific audience I'm going to. It's just home cooking and cooking from scratch. So
Well,
who
you seem to
knew?
have this Italian flair on your site too.
Yeah, I've just kind of actually I listened to another podcast where there was a person talking about finding your story,
Yes.
and I grew up with an Italian grandmother and an Italian mother, and it was an Italian household, and my grandma was literally from Italy, and I used to have to get up on weekends and help my mom chop garlic and mix meatballs and you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
the real
Yeah.
Italian American rite of passage. And that's kind of how I learned to cook was with them. And then I moved to England. And when you go to another country, you realize that in America we really kind of hold on to our roots and where we're kind of what our background is. So if somebody was to ask me when I lived there what my nationality was, I would have never said American. I would have said Italian, because that's the way we are
Yes.
as Americans. But then I realized that that's not really the way things are here. So I just became American. So I
That's funny
lost,
that you lost your heritage when you.
yes, I did. I was just American. And I lost sight of the Italian side of it until somebody told me to find my story. And there I was looking at my site, like, what is my story? And I started looking at the categories and what I had the most of. And I realized, wow, I really forgot that that's my story, that my story is Italian food and growing up in an Italian household. And that's what I love to cook. And I like to cook a lot of other things as well. But, I'm so good at it. It's almost like I don't even think about it anymore. And
Those are the things that I think, we underestimate so much about ourselves, is those things that, we just take for granted, but other people are so inspired by.
yeah, I didn't even think about it. I don't even know why I had to think
Yes.
about what my story was, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to bring it out. I'm going to do a relaunch of the site, and probably in the summer. And I just wanted to kind of put it in the right direction. So I've been playing around with different layouts right now, just trying to figure out what is my story and who am I as a cook? Who am I as a brand? I'm not
I
really
love
sure
that.
yet, but
Yeah. It's evolving, right?
yeah, it is. As always, just from the start, it's evolved
Yeah,
completely.
exactly.
The industry, everything, what's required
Oh,
of us, it's always
it's so true.
evolving. So,
Yeah. So tell me, when you first started your site, you see some success with it right away, or did it take some time? How did that work for you?
um, I let's see. It's funny because there are some bloggers that started the same time as me that are like hugely successful now.
Yeah.
And it went really fast for them. And that's, I guess I did pretty well on Pinterest from the very start. Um, I tried really hard to have good photography. I look back at it now and I can't believe that I did well,
Yeah.
because it really wasn't that good. But it was good enough to get attention, and I had a pretty good following. I couldn't tell you numbers, but it was good. And I went from, in the first year, I guess after the first year, I was up to like, I don't know, like 14,000 visitors a day from Pinterest. And
What? A day from Pinterest?
yeah, it was just Pinterest. And it was just back when Pinterest was still, where like, it was a boom of traffic for
Yeah.
all of us. And
Right.
um, and then things started changing slowly. And I never really made that much money because I don't know. Like, I was with different ad companies. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was always flying the seat of my pants. So
Yes.
I
I think we all were at that time, like,
Yeah. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to teach myself
yeah.
everything all at once. So, anyway, then Pinterest, I guess this would be, well, we all know when Pinterest just changed. And,
I think it was like 2012 or something like that. It feels
well,
like everything changed in 2012.
well, I was still doing well in 2000. Like, so I started 2014, and then
Oh.
2015, I was still doing, like, that's when it was really good. I was getting a lot of traffic from Pinterest. And then,
Ah.
then all of a sudden they started changing, and it would be like they would just cut me off at the knees. I would have no traffic, and I
Yeah.
got very little traffic from Google. I thought that was a myth that you can have SEO.
So are you saying you went from 14,000 page views a day from Pinterest to zero?
Not to zero, but it
Okay.
really like went low.
Yeah.
My peak was 14,000 a day. And then I went down to about before, well, I'll backtrack because I did, after they made the changes, and things got really, really sad around the time that I was listening to your podcast, and Culinary Hill,
Yeah.
Megan Hill from Culinary Hill was on, and she was talking about how she hired Casey. And I was like, oh my God, I just need that in my life. Like, I was so done with Pinterest, and crying over it. I literally cried over it
Oh,
because
I bet.
it was terrible that it was beyond my control. It was nothing I can do to fix it. So I went down to about 5,000 page views a day. after the big changes happened with Pinterest, where they changed their algorithm and they went to the smart feed, and I just broke up with Pinterest. I just thought, I'm done with you. And I thought it was such literally I broke up with them. They were just like, it was a one-sided relationship that I was putting all the work into, and I was getting nothing in return. And I decided that I was just done. And I'm not saying this is great advice to give to anyone, because it's not, but I walked away, literally stopped with Pinterest. And I decided that the rest of social media could get them in the divorce, and I was done with social media altogether. And I just wiped my hands of it. And I thought, this is either going to end here, or I need to find another way. And that's when I hired Casey, and my life changed, and the whole business changed. And he literally changed my life, because last month I came so close. I'm so dying to hit 1 million page views, but last month in January, I was up to 946,000 page views.
Oh, you're just so close.
I know. So now it's a short month. It'll never happen. And it probably won't happen until next fall, but whatever. I came close.
Well, you never know. You've got, there could be certain peaks this year where you'll hit it, right? But I know that the Christmas, the holidays is really a good time to be hitting that.
It wasn't even in December. December I was at 860.
Oh, it was November.
No, in December I got 860 page views, and then in January it was 946. So
wow, well that's a very good sign. Then that means it's continuing to grow.
Oh yeah, and it has since. Like, I met Casey. Well, I hired him, got the audit, had to give him every penny I made that month. I mean, literally.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. When you listened to Megan Hill of Culinary Hill on this podcast what was it, like a year ago, last summer?
Is it? I don't
year and a half
know.
ago.
Yeah, it was
year and a half ago. That sparked in you like, okay, I'm tired of things that are going on with Pinterest and nothing else is going on my site. So I'm going to hire Casey to do a site review. And he did that.
Yes, he did.
And then I imagine he gave you this. I mean, it's not like things happened overnight. He gave you a whole list of recommendations, because I've been through it. I know what it's like.
Yeah. It's still going now. I kid you not. My project is still going now. It hasn't ended, and it never will.
Yes. It never will end. That's correct. No. But you made these changes, and as a result, your site traffic has taken off.
Yeah, I mean, and it was. I don't want people to think like it's going to work miracles. I'm one of those people that I'm like, go big or go home, and I don't stop ever. So I just kind of threw myself into it. I don't have a big social life in this country, so I have a lot of time on my hands, and I have an only child, so I definitely have more time than most, and I just threw myself into it. And so 3 months later, after my audit, was Christmas. So he did it in September, and I hit 500,000 for the first time. So before that, I was only at like 5,000-6,000 a day of page views. So it was big. And to me, that was huge. I'd never even come close to anything like that. And I remember getting I think I made like 6,000 at Christmas in 1 month. And I thought, holy crap, I can't believe it. Like, I thought, and I thanked Casey over and over, and I still thank Casey. And I feel like I should still be paying him.
Don't tell him that. He'll probably take it. I'm sure he would.
Because he's so helpful still. Like, I still have contact with him now. Because he's,
so even if you were to email him today, he would respond. And I've had the same experience.
I
mean, he's a tough love kind of guy. I don't want anybody to. He's not. He doesn't mince words. He can be pretty, harsh is the way I would describe him, but it's necessary,
Yes, it absolutely is. It's not his job to hold your hand.
Right.
His job is just to tell you how it is. And I don't think he has time for anything else. That's just the way I see it. I'm not intimidated ever. And I know that he has very little time, and he's just going to get straight to the point. So
right. So tell me, I'm just curious, could you describe, I mean, obviously there was, if you're like me, it was a whole laundry list of things that I had to work through, but can you describe that, maybe a top couple of things that you think made a really big difference for your site?
Well, I decided that day that I was going to do a whole site over. So it wasn't just like small changes I was going to make. I was going to do the entire site from start to finish. I was going to do reshoots and rewrites of every little thing that needed it. So, which is probably just
Wow.
that side of me that's just like the perfectionist. So I
Yes.
decided if I was going to do it, I was going to just go all the way. And that's
Now, let me
just
ask you something. Is that because when you say this, is this because that you looked back on some older recipes or some older posts and you thought, that's not good enough? That's not what I want? Or what made you think that I'm going to redo this whole thing?
because I realized that it wasn't it wasn't cohesive at all. It was just kind of like
Yeah.
there's just nothing behind it that said come back. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
Casey was great to make me really evaluate, why are people going to come back and what do you need to show people? And you need to prove yourself as like a source of a trusted source of information. And it
Yes.
just changed the way I wrote my posts completely. I went from no direction to um, a formula to write my posts and what I wanted to achieve in that. So before it was like if I had any process shots at all, it would be taken with my phone and they were ugly and disgusting and literally terrible. And the posts were like whatever. I never knew how to what to say. It was just always kind of whatever came to
I
mind at
felt
the
the same
time.
way.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now I have direction. I know that they are not there about for me and my story. They're there because they want to be able to cook the food, and I just try to give them the best information possible to be able to pull that off from their own kitchens. And
So, did you have a lot of recipes at the time that you did this? I mean, in other words, how when you say you redid everything, how many are you talking about? Like hundreds?
oh, because of my illness, yeah, I've never been until now with this project. Excuse me. I have
Yeah,
never been able to physically have consistent, like every week posts. So even at the time, I'd been going since 2014, but I only had 300 and some odd recipes.
I
So
see.
that's not a lot if you look at other people who have been going as long as I have.
But when you think
So
about redoing them in a period of 3 months, that does sound like a lot.
yeah, but I didn't do them over. I'm still working on it.
I
So
got you. Okay. I got you.
oh
You
no,
probably
no.
created a plan
I
and
created a
then
plan. I just decided I'm going to do them all over, and I'm still doing it
got you.
now. And
Okay.
I think it's going to be forever. Like I don't
I know the
because
feeling. Yes.
it's still going, and I'm still perfecting. And just when I had my formula, Google came along and said they wanted video added to the recipe card, and I thought, well, they say I don't need it, but I better do it because,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Unlike Pinterest, they were like, it felt like a better relationship with Google, and they were kind of
Yeah.
giving back as much as I was giving. You know what I mean? So I thought I'm going to
Yes.
do whatever they want because, unlike with Pinterest, I'm trying to like rebuild the relationship and not hate them so much, but like any ex, I really do still have some feelings of resentment.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like
Right.
build it back up, and I am working on it, and that's another big thing that I've started again with social media, and within that time, but it took I think a really long time to go back to social media after starting this project, and
I think it's a little bit like that Rocky moment, the movie Rocky,
yeah,
where, when you really want to win the fight, like if you're just in it, like in the beginning of the movie, he's just like a boxer, right?
mm-hmm,
But when he really wanted to win, he was willing to like take on I can't, Paulie, I think it was the name of his coach, or I can't remember the name of the coach, but yeah, he didn't like the guy. And he had reason not to like him, but he let him be his coach when he really wanted to win. So
yeah.
there are times we have to kind of humble ourselves and work with Paulie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you for saying his name because that was going to drive me crazy.
Oh, I hope it's right. Let's just imagine that that's his name. Yeah.
I'm going to put it out
But
of my
there's things
mind.
that we kind of are. I have been the same way so many times. I've been like, oh, I'm not doing that. No way. And then when it's not like a point of desperation, it's just like, I am so determined that I will do that.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so determined. So I decided, like, I don't know. I guess it was after I got the 500,000. I thought, okay, this might be something. I might be actually succeeding at this, and maybe I know that in order to succeed, I need to go back to social media. So, and I found out a lot of things about myself working on this. Like, I cannot have a VA. I can't. I am insane, and I'm a control freak. And anytime I tried, it went terribly wrong because I need to know what's going on at all times.
Yes,
So
there's pros and cons to working with VAs for sure.
it's nothing to do with them. It's all to do with
Yes.
my crazy, obsessive, compulsive control freak of a
Well,
person
yeah,
I
when you've
am.
hired somebody to post something on Instagram, say for example, and you're on Instagram yourself and something from you comes up that it's like it's kind of startling. It's
But
like even though I've looked at it, it's still like I did not my hands were not as involved with that from the very beginning, so I get that.
yeah, I mean, I just didn't know what they were doing, and it was my baby for so long, and anytime I tried to hand it off, I just felt so out of control and insane.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so I decided just a few months ago, I hired somebody to come into the house, and I trained her myself, like next to me, which was really
Yeah.
hard. But because I felt because at the same time my husband joined the company and he started working with
Nice.
me, and because we're moving back to the States. Um, he had to close down his business anyway, so he just kind of joined ranks with me, and he's doing the video editing now and helping with the filming because video changed everything. So just when I thought I had my little formula going, that came into play, and I had to learn video, and
Oh,
um,
right.
yeah, that
I think
was
I read that on one of your I think you've got a series of posts about things that are going on in your life.
yeah,
And so I was reading that and I saw that.
yeah,
I love, first of all, your description of your relationship with your husband is that you all get along really well. I love that because like I agree with your point that sometimes it seems like people just enjoy fighting with each other.
yes, yes, and we've always been like that couple, like everybody
Yes.
just kind of. I know we if we ever fought or didn't have like things weren't going well. I had a friend once that told me, "Well, if you guys can't make it, the rest of us are doomed."
Oh no.
So no
That's true.
pressure.
No pressure at all. You're right.
And she's actually
Well,
the one that came to work with us, and now she has to see us fight.
oh, because I think that's the thing you were pointing out is that you all didn't fight until it came to shooting video together.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. It's still
Yeah.
terrible. It is. I won't lie. It's really hard, and
Yeah.
we're seeing sides of each other we didn't know existed because we never had to work together.
Oh, that's so funny. I'm laughing because I've been there myself because I think you described like kind of having a meltdown in the middle of one of
Oh
your
yeah,
video
literally.
recordings and it made me laugh because I have done the exact same things. I can be so cranky when we're in the middle of a video recording. I don't even know why.
It's so hard. There's so much to
It
think
is.
about, and he's like
Yeah.
totally. He's just a control freak, and he's like telling me, "Don't get your head in the shot, or don't move the
Yeah.
pan, or." And there's so many things that I need to change when I move. I didn't want to buy new
Yeah.
equipment here, but like a heavy pan makes so much
Yeah.
sense because it doesn't move.
Yes, and also
So
I have a tendency like, my husband will want me to pull something out, straight, and
yes,
I don't even
holy
notice that I'm
crap,
pulling it out as a slant,
it's a
and,
man thing,
just
totally.
yes.
Yeah,
Well, I think he's also the one that's, he edits the videos, and he'll add the things that'll say things like, "Bake for 20 minutes," or, and I think he wants to have the pan come straight out so that it's easier for him to do that. I don't know, but
yeah. No, he that's one of the things. Like he goes straight in, straight out, and my brain
yes.
doesn't work that way, and I cannot do it.
Uh-uh.
I've been cooking too long, so it's
I
all
can't
like
draw a straight line
yeah.
either.
So, and then it gets stressful because he's watching me so closely, and I end up like, you know,
Yes.
I swear there's like I don't know if you how old your kids are, but the expression rage quit when kids
No, what
get
does that
so
mean?
when
Rage
kids
quit?
yeah they get so upset by a video game that they rage quit. They just turn it off.
Throw it against the wall.
Yeah. So I told him I was going to rage quit. I literally like
I think I've
slammed the
I think I've
table
rage quit tennis a few times. Throw the racket. I'm done with this.
like mid recording. We have people that told
Oh,
us we should turn on the sound and then start our own channel and people can listen to us argue.
Oh my God, you know what? That would do really well. I think you should do it. Well,
Well,
actually, I Brandy Crawford is a food blogger here in Kansas City. I met with her several times, and she mentioned something about putting bloopers in. Maybe she runs them on Instagram stories, her blooper reel,
oh, that's
and
great.
people love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if they'd love the everything that we have to say to each other, but
Yeah, you'd have to pick and choose what you want to share.
I think you know what, when we're alone, and sometimes
Yeah,
we have more people here, and I think when we're alone, it's just him and I. We do a lot better. But when
yeah,
there's too many people in the room, I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't always work. But we're getting there. We're trying really hard to
yeah.
not want
And you're
to.
friends, so
Yeah.
right? I mean, like that's how my husband and I too. That I love that my relationship. I mean, I was married before, and it was very different. This relationship is like I can be myself, and sometimes myself is not always the prettiest, nicest person in the world, and he still loves me. So I love that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and it's so funny because my assistant always jokes that we still call each other babe in the
Oh.
middle of the argument. So,
Oh, like, how come you can't do that, babe? Right?
yeah, absolutely, yeah, that's how it is. So we're
Uh,
getting there. It's only been a few months, and we're both such control freaks, and
oh,
but we're trying. It's a bit much to spend that much time together.
yeah.
So, my biggest, I just want to tell all the food bloggers out there, if you're going to work with your husband, make sure that you really like each other
Yes.
because,
I I also remind myself to appreciate things about him. Like he does, like, you talk about your husband being a control freak. I mean, my husband has started helping me with the photography a couple of years ago, and now the videography. And he brings something to this that's different than I would have done. And I have to appreciate that. He has a nice touch on things.
yeah, the organization is something that I
Yes.
never had. So, if anybody, when
Yeah.
I was working alone, if anybody would have come into my kitchen, it would have been, you know, literally a disaster area. And
Yes.
now, it's so organized. And I think video, like, I have to, like, as much as it was hard to learn, and I'm still learning, and I still have no idea what I'm doing, by the way. So, we're literally always trying to learn. But I think I embrace it because it changed everything about the way that I blog now, and the
Yeah.
way how organized it has to be, and just putting the food in bowls, like being that organized and cleaning up
Yeah.
as you go, and then right down to like the screenshots for process shots. Everything's so cohesive, and it looks so
Feels
much more
good.
professional. So and it takes so much less time because, like Cheryl said, with that she does the process, the screenshots as well. And I did that from the start because I never had the time to stop or the presence of mind to stop and take good process shots. So now I just take the screenshots. I have done it from the very beginning, and that's how I have the step-by-step photos. Sometimes it's not
So
always the
just to
best.
clarify, your step-by-step photos are just screenshots from the video.
Yeah, using Premiere
Wow.
that has the little button in it that you just,
Yes.
sometimes it still takes a lot of time to get the right ones because, it's
Yeah.
movement. Sometimes they're
It's
blurry.
blurry. Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but we sometimes have trouble with getting autofocus to work well. And, there's always like,
Yes.
we don't know what we're doing. So,
Interestingly enough, we do use we have two cameras. Well, we have our camera that shoots video, the DSLR, and then we use the iPhone for the top down shot. And Sean figured out how to take that, like the iPhone is constantly focusing and refocusing,
mhm.
and he figured out a way to turn that off. So that's kind of nice.
I kind of, until I have good lighting, because right
Yeah, we have
now
good lighting.
in
Yeah.
England, nobody has good lighting. So
Can't you get a lighting kit or you
I
don't have
do. I
room?
have a lighting kit.
Okay.
It's not the best. I would love to work with natural light. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Well, we found that for video, natural light just isn't the best. I mean,
But it would fill
and
the room. So you have like, instead of like closing off all the curtains now, I still have natural light coming in. So I have a mixture of the two
I
because it
see,
fills the
right.
room and it makes it brighter. But I don't know how it'll be when I have better lights, for instance, which we didn't invest in because we're moving. So
When are you moving?
April.
Are
April
you excited?
2nd. Yes. I'm excited, but I'm stressed at the same time. But I'm really excited. Yes. I couldn't be more
Yeah.
happy. I need it so bad. So
I can't even imagine moving across the ocean. I mean, it's one thing to move a state or a few states or even a city away, but
yeah, it's
that's
15
got to be
years.
huge.
I was well and truly an adult when I came, and anybody who's moved as a grown up probably knows that it's very difficult to make friends when your age group kind of already has their circle. So
Yes.
it's been, I don't want to sound like I'm feeling terribly sorry for myself, but I've made very few friends, and it's, I don't know, it's just not in my nature to be like this because I have lifelong friends back home, and
So you're going to reconnect with them when you get back, huh?
we've never not connected. So, I mean,
Oh,
I
good.
see them every time I go home and we talk on a regular basis. And my best friend and I have been best friends for 40 years. So,
Yes.
um, she's like my soul sister. And I just can't wait to get back just to normal life and friends that love me.
Yes.
So I
What
can't
part
wait.
of the States will you be
I'm,
in?
I'm from New Jersey. So
Oh,
we're going just across the pond, actually. So
yes.
it's not been easy. I don't know if, I think it's harder. It's hard for Americans to leave the country anyway, but um, it's been difficult. And 15 years I've been here. So
Wow. It's a long
it's,
time.
yeah.
And in some ways, it seems like your blog turning into a business for both you and your husband is kind of giving you that freedom to go
Oh,
wherever you
yeah.
want.
Actually, we wouldn't have been able to do it if it not for the blog taking off. So it literally changed my life. It really did.
Oh,
And
that's so inspiring.
yeah, I would not be able to go home if it didn't take off.
Wow.
And it was just the same time because I was home in the summer. My audit was in September, and I've been like struggling on. We just have some struggles in our day to day life, which I have been struggling whether I should mention it or not. But anyway, there are things that took place during that trip that I knew I needed to go home and I needed to do it for my family. And if my mom just said to me, she said, "I'm so proud of you because you said that you wanted it and you did it." And it's amazing to hear that because I did. I really did.
Yeah.
I did it, and
Wow.
I just decided I needed to to just work as hard as I could to make it happen. And it just goes to show you know if you have the passion, you can make it happen, even if it
You will
takes.
find a way.
Yeah, it may not be instant, but yeah, people that have the drive, find a way. I'm not saying I'm hugely successful. I'm just on the brink of doing really well, but I think I can't believe how freeing it is.
Yes.
And exciting
And
because all
I'm
I want to
assuming
do
that
is
you
go ahead.
I'm assuming that you have an ad network on your site.
Yeah, I have Mediavine, and they're really good. I really like them.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I like how they are trying everything to keep up with
Yeah,
the changes.
I
If
agree.
Google wants it to be faster, then they're going to find a way to make it faster. And
Yes.
um, they're working with us, literally with us, and they've really actually done a lot for me that was kind of, I believe, above and beyond. I mean, I don't want to go into detail of things that they did, but when I told another blogger, she was like, whoa, I was like, yeah, I didn't really think about it that way. But yeah, they really went above and beyond to help me because I'm in the unique position that 80% of my traffic is Google. So
Right.
I have a lot of global traffic, and I don't know if other people know this, but your RPM is lower when you have global traffic, not American traffic. So
I see.
um, my RPM is always going to be lower than other bloggers that have mainly American traffic. So I have to work harder
I see. So
Yeah,
somebody else at a million page views might actually make more because their traffic is
absolutely.
based in the United States. I see.
Yes, because if you have
I didn't think about things like that. I know RPM can be very, can be variable, but I wasn't, I was thinking from time to year and maybe the amount of traffic you've got or things like that. But I didn't think about, the fact that your market could be more global and therefore your RPM would be different.
yeah, it's lower, much lower. Not much, but yeah, it's lower.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know other bloggers, and I would be very frustrated by it because I've been working so hard and it's really going well. And then, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I'm not making as much. So I would like go in guns blazing to Mediavine and say, this isn't fair. I got an offer from AdFrac to leave, and maybe that's what I should do. And they just worked with me to help me
Nice.
build it. And although it's never going to be the same as other bloggers, maybe when I move to America, I'll have more American traffic.
Yeah.
Um, I know I get a lot of UK traffic, and I think there's something with Google that gives you more. I don't know. I don't even know if it's true, but I think I might get more visibility in the UK than I do America. So,
Yeah, that's a good question. It'll be interesting to hear how things changed for you after the move.
oh God, I'm terrified because,
Don't be
you know,
terrified. You know what? You figured out how to get to this point now. You'll get there again, right?
yeah.
If it changes in a direction you're not happy with,
Oh yeah, I'll find a way. And
you'll find a
and
way.
there's
That's one thing.
resources. There's
Yes.
Casey's always willing to help any way that he
Yeah.
can, and answer any questions I have. And if he has an answer, he'll give it to me. If he doesn't, then I have to
Right.
find somebody else that does. And he points me in a lot of different, really good directions. So,
Yes, exactly.
and
So you mentioned that, it sounds to me like if you were to write a list, the couple of things that you talked about so far is that you basically relooked at your content, you took it much more seriously and created I think you mentioned like basically kind of rewriting and start over. What am I going to do to make this site something people want to keep coming back to? And then you added video.
yes.
Do you think, is there anything else that you can think of that you did that really made a big difference?
Um, I think finding the flow so it doesn't seem forced is really important, and
Yeah,
you might not have that in the beginning. So I
right.
think finding a way to give as much information and still seem personable is something I struggle with, because I want to give I want to be like a great source of information, but I still want to seem approachable. So
Yes.
it's kind of difficult to find the right flow. So I think once you figure out what you want to say, I think um, just find a way to make it to pay attention so that you can see the natural flow that happens when you do it. And don't try too hard. Like, I know a lot of people that look at SEO, and then they go on Google and they look at the questions that people ask on like the Google
Hmm.
suggested questions. That's all great, but if you force it, Google's really smart too. So I totally
Right.
believe that if you try to force too many keywords, they're going to catch on,
Yeah.
because when I write just from my head instead of what I think they're looking for, I definitely do better. So I guess I found a good balance between giving a great source of information but making it not forced into keywords, and hitting the right number of them, and how many like
Yes.
need to be in what type of font and what kind of heading, and you know what I mean? Just make it
Yeah.
work. Be yourself, because that's what's going to shine through. And when you force it, it shows, and it might come off a little too clinical anyway. So
Yes.
I think I learned to try really hard to give enough information, and a lot of information I try to wedge right into there. But I also find that if I make them too long, it doesn't work either. So
Do you have a perfect length of a
no,
food blog
because
post?
it depends
Oh,
on what I'm cooking.
we're
Literally,
not going there, huh?
I can't, because it depends what I'm cooking. It depends how much I know about what I'm cooking, and
Right.
um, absolutely do research if you don't know. That's definitely like great advice, because
Well, I think this whole idea of looking at the questions is helpful in the regards that you can put yourself in the position, maybe you've made this so many times that you've kind of forgotten the kind of questions people might be asking. But,
Hmm.
if you can answer the questions people would be asking about the recipe, I think that's really important. Or maybe even the tools involved with making the recipe.
Yeah, I don't always do that because I forgot. I've been cooking for so long, and I don't always
Right.
give them the tools, but you give them, you're literally giving your readers the tools to make it properly and successfully from their kitchen. So if you think
Right.
about it as like you're teaching them, you don't need to tell them about so much. I mean, some people like to blog about their lives. I decided I was going to make it separate, and I think it was on your podcast that somebody said to do that. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. Maybe it'll be a way to connect because that's what I struggle with. I'm sure everybody struggles with something, and I struggle with connecting. And I always thought
Yeah, me
that
too.
the blog post should be about the food, not necessarily about, because I kid you not, this is a true story. I was on another blog, very, very successful blog, and it was like a post about muffins. And she had pictures of her new yellow polka dot bikini. I was like, first of all, I hate
Right.
you because I'm not wearing a bikini.
We're already off on a wrong foot here.
Yeah. So I don't care about your bikini, but
Yes.
while you make muffins.
Right. I'm here for the freaking muffin recipe. I don't need to see you in a bikini. I
Yeah.
get that.
So I think that's what made me way back then think, nope, it's going to be about the food and not necessarily about my life. But I do think that to connect with your readers, they need to know who you are. And that's why I started doing that because it was great advice and I don't remember who it was and I feel bad.
I think it was Sarah Cook I think she was earlier this year or last year. She talked about how she does a weekly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. She does like a
Um,
Sunday thing.
yes.
And I
Yeah.
decided to just make it like Monday morning coffee and just like
Yes.
kind of talk about what's happening. And
Yeah.
it's an
I've read a few
exciting
of
time in
those.
my family. So
Yeah.
it just I just decided to be really real and just put it all out there. And it's freeing. It feels good actually
Yeah. I
to
noticed it looked like you got some reader response to that too.
yeah, it was very touching. I mean a lot of friends for sure.
Ah,
And then because they follow the blog because I'm not there. So I have friends that are really loyal readers as well. And then I have
right.
the readers that just started like this week. There's been no friends. It's been all readers. And I was like, wow, like people are actually paying attention. So that's really nice because
Yeah, it does kind of feel like you're writing into some kind of abyss, like are people actually reading this? And then and then you get some
yeah,
responses and that feels good.
yeah, it does because you feel like you're talking to yourself all the time.
I
Like,
know. I know. Yeah.
what
It's
more
true
can I
like
say about pasta to
Yeah,
make
so
this
I love that
interesting?
you shared about the health conditions that you have and then you also talked about that, you wanted to possibly go on a low carb diet. I was kind of curious if will that change what you blog about?
No, I mean I do have I literally do post what I eat. So
Yeah.
right now I have had low carb stuff on there before
Yeah.
because I did this type of diet before. So I really do like it doesn't. I feel like you don't have to have like a certain like I don't have to be a health food blogger to share that I'm on a low carb diet and I
I
made this and it was
agree.
good.
Yes.
So I did this week put low carb meatballs up because they were good and they tasted.
It's kind of nice. You and I are both in that same situation, although my side is vegan and yours is not more, not vegan, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's funny that I'm saying this, but I feel like a generalist vegan and not like a health food focused vegan. But
Yeah.
I always wonder, like, if your site is health food focused, did that mean like if someday you make a chocolate cake, you wouldn't share that on your site because would have to be health food chocolate cake. You know what I mean?
I guess it depends on the blogger, but
I
yeah, I mean,
guess.
that must be difficult. So I just kind of, maybe I'm not the only one that, maybe my readers are on a special diet right now because they need to
Right.
lose weight. Doesn't mean I love
Yes.
food any less. And yeah, I'm going to share it with you because it was yummy. You know what I
So
mean?
maybe they might be
So,
really interested in how you turn pasta primavera into something that's low carb. You never know, right?
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not terribly inspired by that thought, but because I am the carb queen. But
I know.
this is definitely a struggle for me, but it's working. And it's probably because I'm a carb queen that All I had
You
to
want
do
to
was
hear what
cut
I'm
them
trying
out.
lately? This is
Well,
so, I know this sounds really extreme, but I started doing this thing called OMAD. It's one meal a day. I know it sounds
oh,
extreme, but what I love about it is that I love to eat so much. And so I don't eat until 5 o'clock now. And I eat whatever I want after 5 o'clock. And I like that.
whatever you want.
Yeah, I know. I can have carbs. I can do whatever. I don't have to think about calories. And I don't
Oh
know.
my
This is really
God.
working for me. So I'm enjoying it.
Well, if this weight loss slows down, I'm going to be getting in touch with you about
Yeah,
that
call me.
diet.
We'll talk. You're from New Jersey. I could say, call me. We'll talk. Right.
Well, I'm kind of generic American now because I've been out of the country for so long. But I'm sure
Yeah.
my husband says as soon as I get off the plane, I'm like, "Where's my coffee?"
I love that accent. I think it's just the coolest. Yeah.
So I can't believe I ever talked like that, but we'll see.
Yeah. I'm sure it's going to come back. I can't wait. I'm going to talk to you in a couple of months and I'll find out.
I'll be all Jersey. I remember
Yeah.
finding out for the first time that,
Yeah.
let's see how I say it now, but finding out that Corvette
Yeah.
was spelled the way it was because I was raised by New Yorkers and I thought it was a Corvette.
Corvette.
Yeah.
That's
So
so funny.
I probably spelled it wrong for a really long time.
How did you spell it?
However you would spell
Yeah,
Corvette.
whatever. Right. Exactly.
But it was definitely not COR. I didn't even
Oh, I
know that's
love
not how
it.
you said it.
I I have this passion. I love accents anyway, so it's just kind of fun and to talk to people
Yeah.
from different areas, figure out where
People
they're
here
from.
think I sound really Jersey. So
Really?
I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever seen the thing on that's it goes around Facebook about the Italian mother. It's a
I
man dressed up as an
yes.
Italian lady, and he's
Uh-huh.
like saying all these different, real like New York Italian things. And I have a friend here who thinks I sound exactly like
I'll have to
that.
check that out. I don't think I've seen it, but
I don't want to swear, but it's like just look up things Italian mothers say, and it's
okay.
hilarious. It's like he's
That's
like
great.
I had 5 missed calls. I had agita. Like she's just
You
like
got
me,
it.
the woman,
That's so
terribly
funny.
neurotic.
Maybe it's an Italian thing, huh?
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, I don't sound like that anymore. But we'll see.
I definitely hear hints of it. It's not
It's
probably like
coming
you say,
back
it's probably not as
naturally.
strong as 15 years ago, but
No, I know I'm going back, so I find myself saying really American things out of nowhere. So I must be like in my mind, I'm already
you're
there.
you're already there.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
So
I'm so excited for you, and the things that are coming your way, and
thank
just the,
you.
I think you can't emphasize enough the hard work that you did because this wasn't an accident. This wasn't, I always hear people talk about the secret, like in power of attraction, and it's fine, that's all good and fine, but I think what I'm hearing you say is you you said that you paid a lot of money that you didn't. You're like your last dime, you're contributing
Yeah.
to pay for this site review. And there was a lot of work involved, and you did that. You have been doing this hard work to get to this point. So I'm really proud and excited for you.
Oh, thank you so much. I know I don't stop. I'm kind of obsessed. So I didn't realize until I was listening to your podcast and I remembered how you ask people about what TV shows they watch. And I was like, oh
Uh,
no, like all I do
we're
is
getting there.
work. I'm so ridiculous because I'm like, I have nothing to contribute. Everything I do is so related to work. And
Oh, great. This is a great segue.
so
Let's go into that then. Since you have nothing to say, I'm going to drag it out of you.
Oh God, it's so terrible because I literally some days like if I'm not up and around because of my condition, I'll work from bed literally. Like I got anybody whoever that has any health problems, I highly recommend getting the Surface Book 2 that I have, and it like changed my life. Just
Surface
like
Book
anybody out
2.
there that might be listening, it changed my
What
life
is it?
because like it's a laptop, but it's
Oh,
amazing, and
oh,
the screen is beautiful and it's clear and crisp, and it's also like a workhorse. So you
oh,
can it really you could do even video editing from bed. So
nice.
I had way too many flare-ups that kind of knocked me down, off my feet for like a week at a time, and I'd be so depressed because all I wanted to do is work, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
And then now I have this Surface Book 2, and I'm not being paid to say it. I just really love it.
Yes.
And it's like I said, it's beautiful, and it's so powerful, and I can have every Adobe thing open at the same time and still be able to work. So
That's perfect.
I
Okay,
work
so
from bed.
let's go into these fun questions I want to
Okay.
ask you about because I'm curious. Tell me about your favorite food.
Can I give you an ingredient? Because my
Yes.
salt is
Salt. I love
absolutely,
it.
it is. It's like the miracle ingredient that I just am learning to use properly.
Yeah.
And because another thing about blogging and doing it like right for people and trying to give them the best information possible makes you a better cook as well. So,
Yes.
you have to research the answers and figure out what's great about cooking. And so salt, I'm just learning to use it and using it well. Because if you think about it, like, how you go to a restaurant, you think my food never tastes that good. And the reason is because we never think to use salt like they do. And
Yeah.
if you have a conversation with a professional cook, they'll tell you they use so much more salt than the home cook does. So I'm not saying like
Wow.
overload and kill yourself, but
Right.
I'm saying I love it because it does wonders. And so
Yeah,
that
I've
will
done a little
segue into
research.
my book that I'm reading.
Yes.
And that's salt, acid, what is it called?
Oh,
Fat.
yes. That was a giveaway
Um,
on this site or in this podcast last year. I gave that
oh,
book
was
away.
it?
It was, yes, it's
Oh,
a great
amazing.
book. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Have
I
you
can't
watched
listen.
the Netflix show?
I have. I don't like it as much. I won't lie because I watch
Oh,
anything on Netflix. But I don't know. I guess sometimes there could be a bit of food overload for me. So
yeah. I agree. I
maybe that's
totally
why. But
agree.
I do love the book. I just can't listen to the audiobook because it puts me to sleep.
Oh,
Literally.
some, sometimes that's good about an audiobook. My husband actually listens to podcasts to fall asleep to. He sets a timer so that it turns off in like 10 or 15 minutes. So,
That's what I do with the book. I have the
yeah.
audiobook and I have the print version. And I love it because it's teaching me so much about salt and acid and fat, like things I didn't know. I mean, I
It's
actually use vinegar now to add it to
wow.
soups and stuff. So
Wow.
I didn't
I think
know
it's
that.
interesting. I did some research on salt because um, I was worried about if it's very healthy or not. And they make it sound like this recommendation to reduce salt in your diet is like it might have a very minimal impact on health, but it's not as big as they make it out to be. So I'm kind of on the fence. I think if you enjoy salt, you should enjoy it. Is what I
Yeah, and
think.
I think unless you have health problems that salt is bad for, I don't think it
Yes.
causes any problems. So,
Yes.
I mean,
I
if it did,
agree.
I'd be really terribly unhealthy.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Well, it's even though I recommended that book, I have not actually read all of it yet. So I'm gonna put that on my list to
it's a
make it
big.
a priority to read it.
So, I mean, I haven't read it all yet either, but
Yes,
I'm working on it. I'm working through it, and I just, I just have learned so much, and it just makes me feel like I'm a better cook because of
I
it.
love it.
So,
What's the favorite app on your phone?
this is going to show how obsessive I am, but it is Google Analytics. I am obsessed with it.
I,
And
you know what? It's interesting. It used to be the most popular answer to that question was Instagram, and it has actually transitioned. Lately, everybody's answering Google Analytics, so that's wonderful
yeah, it's always been. I
for
don't know who
you.
likes it more, me or my husband, because I think he looks at it more than I do.
You're
We're
constantly looking to see what things are. What are you looking for when you're looking at that? Are you looking to, like page views or more than
I look
that?
at first thing I always look at is page views. No, the first thing I look at is like real time. Like it comes up
Yes. Who's
automatically.
there
So
right
it's like,
now?
oh, wait a minute. Like, what are they looking at? There's so many people on there. I don't, it's very, very interesting to see at what time of day people are looking at what. So, I'm
Yes.
like, why are so many people looking at Brussels sprouts right now? I don't understand, but it's just,
Does it ever cause you to do something? Like if you see a bunch of people on Brussels sprouts, what do you do?
I'm grateful.
Okay, got you.
I don't
Yes.
really let it run my life, but I definitely like look at it. And I mean, I don't want to compete with myself with recipes either. So like just because Brussels sprouts do really good doesn't mean I'm going to go out and do another Brussels sprout recipe, because I will be just competing with myself. So, there's other things, that I can do, but
there's
with
plenty
analytics,
of other food out there.
Oh yeah. I'm constantly looking at like behavioral overview and like what's the page views compared to sessions, which I honestly don't even understand. So I'm always trying to make that clearer for myself on what that means. But sessions, I don't know. I guess it's like the number of users, but it never is exactly the same. So it drives me crazy.
I know. I think Google Analytics is one of those things that you could just spend. There's just so much potential there, and I feel like I could just spend all day doing that if I.
Oh yeah,
I would love that. Yeah,
I love it. And I just like started clicking on it now as I talk to you now.
Yeah. Okay. I think we already answered this question. Do you have time for TV or reading at all? And if you do, what's your favorite?
I like, let's see, my favorite book of all time.
Yeah.
I have to. Extremely Loud is.
Extremely Loud.
An extraordinary. Oh my God! I can't believe I can't think of the name of it. That's how tired I am.
Oh.
It's about a boy. They made a movie. Tom Hanks did the movie. I think it's Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close or something. I'll Google it right now. But anyway, it's a beautiful story about a boy who lost his dad in 9/11 and his journey to find what this key is for that he finds in his dad's closet. And it's I believe the boy is autistic on in some level, but I haven't had the chance to read in a long time, but that book stays with me, and it really does stay with me. And I read it years ago, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story. I highly recommend if I can find what it's called.
Well, I'll leave a link in the show notes page. Yeah. I can't wait to check it out. It sounds lovely.
Yeah, it's Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. That's what it's called. And
nice.
The book is better than the movie. The movie's okay, but
that's always the case. Yeah.
Yeah. And
so, Erren, how can people find? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. TV show. I love anything that comes on Netflix, I guess, but
right. Yeah. Even if it's just on in the background, right?
I keep right now watching The Mentalist in the background.
The Mentalist.
And last month or the month before, I was like watching White Collar. It's just like stuff that just isn't, you don't need to really pay attention to, and somebody that like entertains me. So I just keep it on in the background while I work, and that's so pathetic, but that's really just what I do.
It's not pathetic at all. I think it's totally understandable.
Unless it's me and my husband watching, and then we like get into like really good, like we watched The Haunting of Hill House. If you haven't seen it, holy crap, it's so good. It's so
What's
scary.
It called?
The Haunting of Hill House. It's a scary. It's like it's a haunting, of course. It's a haunted house story about a family.
Is that the one where they clap?
No, I don't know. It doesn't sound familiar, but it's I don't know if it's on Netflix there or just here, but in the UK, The Haunting of Hill House is on Netflix, and it is terrifying and addictive. I'm not somebody that is afraid of ghosts in any way. Like, I'm not a believer in any way, but I found myself like running to the bathroom in the middle of the night.
Oh no.
Just scary. Totally freaked out. But it's great writing, and it's a great story about family and this crazy thing that took place. So it's not just about a scary thing. It's just really great writing. And I appreciate good writing. So
I do too. I love it. Okay, how can people find you online?
Oh my gosh, just errenskitchen.com, or I'm on Facebook.
You should spell your name because it's a little unique.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's ERREN.
So it's Erren's Kitchen. Yeah. And that's where you are on Facebook is Erren's Kitchen, and
Instagram. Instagram, yeah. I have my assistant do it. I won't lie. If you want to contact me, do it on Facebook because I'm kind of old school.
Yes.
So,
Erren, thanks for taking the time to talk with me today. I had a wonderful time.
You are really lovely. So thank you so much.
Thanks to Erren for being my guest on today's episode of the Chopped Podcast. Be sure to sign up today for the Chopped Academy newsletter by going to chopped.academy and then scroll down to the bottom of the page and hit subscribe. Thanks to everyone for your support of the Chopped Podcast. Your reviews on iTunes and Stitcher make such a big impact. It takes only a few seconds of your time and it makes a big difference. And besides, maybe I'll be reading your name as a featured listener next week. Also, if you're feeling inspired about today's episode, take a picture of yourself listening to it or a screenshot on your phone and share it with me using #ChoppedPodcast on Instagram. You inspire me, and I hope today's show is helpful and inspirational to you as well. Thanks for listening and have a great week.